Today we'll be discussing the rainbow alphabet. The alphabet letters themselves are used differently by different people. Sometimes you'll see some combinations, sometimes you'll see others. People use what makes sense to them. There's no real right or wrong. The letters that we have chosen today start the words lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual, transgender, two-spirit, queer, questioning, intersex, asexual, ally, and asterisks. Before we start the definitions, we will begin with some terminology that should help create context. We'll start by separating the terms sex from gender, two terms that are often used interchangeably but mean very different things, especially in the queer community. Sex is a physical term. It defines how you identify, how you present, how you feel or act in your body. Gender, on the other hand, is a social term. It defines how you are expected to act based on your perceived sex or on your sex as designated at birth. In Canada, there are currently 3 options for a designated sex at birth: female, male, or intersex. A number of terms are used in Canada to describe gender. We will be discussing some of those, but to begin with, you must understand the term cisgender. Cisgender is the term used if your sense of self, your gender identity, and your sex as designated at birth all match. So if you are designated female at birth, and your gender identity is female, and your sense of self is female, you are cisgender. We're going to be looking at this rainbow alphabet with the help of the gender elephant to help us deepen the understanding and the definitions provided. We will start with the sex assigned at birth. When a child is born, someone, usually a doctor, a midwife, a parent, looks at the child's genitalia and determines from that very quick glance whether the child is male or female. Occasionally, it's harder to tell, and a designation of intersex or other is given, but usually we're given an M or an F, and that letter and that designation follows us through the rest of our lives. This is a phallometer. It was developed by members of the Intersex Society of North America as a satirical tool to demonstrate what was actually happening in real life. When a child was born, if the penis was smaller than 2.5 centimeters, or the clitoris was longer than 0.9 centimeters, then surgery was often used to what the surgeons thought of as correcting a situation. Very little effort was given to consider the child's actual body, how this might affect them long term. The surgeons, we are told, simply were worried about the children being teased later. In actual fact, we assume that the surgeons were more worried about maintaining the status quo on what a male body should look like and what a female body should look like. This leads us to a discussion about intersex and biology. In a discussion about biology and intersex, we need to start at the beginning. The beginning being when the egg welcomes the sperm. One of the factors that can lead to an intersex child is chromosomal. Generally, the egg has 2 X chromosomes and the sperm has an X and a Y chromosome. When the two come together, one of the X chromosomes with the egg will match with either the X or the Y chromosome from the sperm. 2 X's begin the creation of a chromosomal typical female, and X and a Y begin the creation of a chromosomal typical male. Natural variations occur when different combinations of chromosomes come together. These variations would fall into the category of intersex. Another intersex variation might be hormonal. Hormonally, the XX combination of chromosomes is associated with estrogen, and the XY combination of chromosomes is associated with testosterone. Variations in either the amount of hormone released or the timing of the hormone released can create variations in the physical body. Many of these would fit under the category of intersex. Approximately 1 to 2 individuals in 100 is born with a body that differs from the standard male or female. The primary sex characteristics in humans are the ovaries and testicles. The secondary sex characteristics are the ones that tend to grow and change during puberty. That would include the penis, breasts, menstruation, pubic hair, body hair, facial hair, and voice deepening. An intersex person might have variations in any one or many of these sex characteristics. Because variations in these sex characteristics are often not noticed until puberty, it is not uncommon for an intersex person to be diagnosed later in life. The mere presence of intersex individuals in our world should call into question our devotion to the binary and the belief that all males fit neatly into one box, all females fit neatly into another box, when in fact everything is a little bit more blurry than it might appear, and nobody really fits into any box. Going back to the gender elephant graphic, we're going to be looking now at the gender identity and the gender expression aspects. So here we're looking more specifically at trans, two-spirit, and queer. When thinking about gender identity, the question you would ask is, how do I identify? Do I identify as a woman, a man, neither, both? Depends on the day? Your gender identity then is how you identify your gender. Whether you do that publicly or privately, it doesn't matter. It's how you identify your own gender. Your gender expression, on the other hand, is how you present yourself, how you walk, how you dress, how you act. It's defined by all those societal expectations of what gender is. So the question here becomes, how do I present? Do I present as masculine, feminine, neither, both? Depends on the day. Ideally, the gender identity scale and the gender expression scale match or are very closely aligned. For emotional well-being, the closer these two align, the better you'll feel. Issues often occur when people cannot express themselves the way they actually identify. We tend to be healthiest and happiest when these two scales match. Now we'll take some time to look at attraction. Here we divide attraction into physical attraction and emotional attraction. Your physical attractions include all of the people that you are physically attracted to. Who do you want to kiss, spend time with, be sexually intimate with? These are your physical attractions. Whether you act on those attractions or not doesn't matter. Who you are attracted to is the point, not who you actually have physical relationships with. Physical attraction falls under the category of sexual orientation. This would include lesbian, gay, bisexual, pansexual, and asexual. So the question here becomes, who are you sexually attracted to? Men, women, doesn't matter, no one, other, depends on the day. Your emotional attractions include all of the people who you are emotionally attracted to. The emotional attraction category does tend to be bigger than the physical attraction category, predominantly because socially we have far more permission to have friendships with people of all genders. So the question here becomes, who are you emotionally attracted to? Who do you want to share time with? Who do you want to go to movies with? Who do you want to share your secrets with? These are your emotional attractions. So are you emotionally attracted to men, women, doesn't matter, no one, other, depends on the day, depends on the activity? Whether it's physical attraction or emotional attraction, there is no right or wrong. You are simply attracted to who you are attracted to. There is one further category that is not included with the gender elephant, but is important to note, and this is sexual behavior. So aside from your attractions, who do you actually have sex with? So the question here becomes, who do you have sexual encounters with? Men, women, doesn't matter, no one, other, depends. Who you are having sexual encounters with is significant. Sexual behavior should match your sexual attractions. People are healthier and happier when these two categories match. Stress tends to happen when the people you are having sex with don't match the people that you are attracted to. The next definition we'll be looking at is Two-Spirit. The name Two-Spirit was adopted in August of 1990 at the third gathering of Native American gays and lesbians in Manitoba. Myra Laramie brought the name into a sharing circle of 80 North American Indigenous LGBTQ+ people, where it was embraced by those present and then shared across North America. The act of spirit naming is an act of decolonization. The term Two-Spirit reaffirms for Indigenous LGBTQ+ people that we are linked spiritually to our families, communities, and nations, as well as to the spiritual teachings of our people. We cannot forget that colonial states and churches branded Indigenous LGBTQ+ people as morally corrupt, spiritless, and they attempted to destroy us. We have returned to reclaim our rightful place in our communities and nations. Inherent in each Indigenous culture includes the values and ethics of non-interference and unconditional acceptance with regard to gender identity and sexual diversity. The belief that all human beings are meant to be. The next definition is questioning. Questioning in this case is a state of not fully understanding who you are or where you fit and trying to sort that out with society's expectations of who you are. You might question your sexual orientation, your gender identity, your sexual identity. You might question one, none, or all three of these. There's no right or wrong. You're simply trying to place yourself into a world that doesn't have space for you. So questioning allows you to take time to do that. The next definition is ally. An ally is a heterosexual cisgender person who supports the queer community. It could be a friend, a family member, an advocate, anyone that stands for support of the queer community and our right to be. The last definition will be for asterisks. The asterisk is there to be inclusive. It is meant to include everybody that is not specifically named in the set of letters that you have chosen. Some people use the plus sign, other people use the asterisks. This could include terms like non-binary, genderqueer, androgynous, third gender, demigirl, demiboy, agender, genderless, bigender, gender nonconforming, gender fluid, queer. There are a number of terms that people use. Some are specific to communities of Canada, some are specific to regions. It is very difficult to stay current. Basically, if you're not straight or cisgender, or fit neatly into one of the boxes that has been created already in our language, then you'll be with the asterisks. People here are trying to sort it out. We're not trying to question ourselves. We're questioning the language, because the language does not include all of us and does not provide space for all of us. So the asterisk is intended to be more inclusive in a time when we're still struggling to create a broader language base. So the asterisk for some of us is a reminder that there is still a lot of work to be done. Thank you.